Hello, 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 loungers. I hope everybody is doing as great as I am on this pop up live that we are doing today in regards to the HIPAA rules for therapists or any other, rules or anybody else that has to follow HIPAA violation rules. Okay. Just wanted to talk real briefly about this. We're not going to be very long, but I think that this is very important to talk about considering what anti Afro has been kind of spewing out to the world in the past couple of days. Okay. So shout out to her for, pretty much providing additional evidence for us to add to the docket in regards to her. And not only are we going to talk about these actual violations that she claims that she has been a part of, but we're going to talk about how to report these crimes in the event that that is the case. Okay. So shout out to Steph Collins, also Redbone, Teresa. Appreciate you guys being in the building. I know that this is a quick pop up live. So everybody else that's in the clouds, I truly appreciate you guys as well. Make sure that you guys are hitting the like button on the way in. And again, I truly appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and get right in on this hot topic right now, because again, we will be adding this to the Surviving the AFW series. Hey, Black Wolf, I truly appreciate you being in the building as well. And again, everybody that is piling in into the clouds, I appreciate you guys as well. Let's talk about this real quick, okay? Because as we all know, Anti-Afro Svengali, aka Andrea Stewart, is an actual licensed marriage and family therapist out of the state of California, okay? She is in San Diego, and she has been in this field for quite some time, at least 20 years that she's been in this field, okay? All therapists, doctors, anybody that is in the medical field is actually required by law to report any breaches of notifications once they are made aware of this breach. Okay, and they do have 60 days to actually put in a notification to not only the patients but also to the Health and Human Services. Okay, and we're actually going to prove that in just one moment. But what I'd first like to do is put on record what Anti-Afro Svengali is saying from her own page. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. She said, in this particular situation, it was Mona, SSA Bandit, and King Kong Crazy violating young pharaohs' federally protected rights. As with all, these data breach criminals, social security info thieves, and those who illegally transmitted post info, they're culpable in every respect, and the evidence backs that up. It definitely does, Anti. What a joke for these criminals to ever think that they could shame, harass, and threaten me into silence. Get the F out of here. Video dropping, so stay tuned. We'll be looking forward to your video evidence of this that we can also report, which we're going to talk about how to report this today. Okay, but knowing that you are an actual therapist that has an actual license and you have actual clients is really a violation on your part. Okay, the fact that you are aware of this and you've been aware of this according to your own words, you've been aware of this and you have not made any reports about this in regards to HHS in regards to this. Okay, that is really a problem. Okay, so you're putting the names of these places up because these are things that you claim you're aware of, right? You're saying that King Kong Crazy, who is not a medical professional, right? You're saying that he actually sent money, right, for some random scammers, medical records, right? And that you are in fact aware of this, that you have evidence of this, you have emails showing this, you have proof of all of this stuff, right? And that this all came from him and Mona DeLeon, who you claim worked at the New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation. So you have the name of the location where this alleged breach took place. Show us where you actually put in the reports of this to HHS, right? Because that is what you were supposed to do by law, and you had 60 days to do so. Now, let's go ahead and go down a little bit, because you were talking about him again. You were talking about child sex abuse, these kinds of things. But then you also said here, and this one from yesterday, King Kong Crazy begged Mona Social Security Bandit to sell him young Pharaoh's medical records. King Kong Crazy begged the Social Security Bandit numerous times for these records. King Kong Crazy trying to drum up another campaign of nonsensical distractions will fail like all other campaigns King Kong Crazy has run since 2021, as to me, AAS and Rev G. Thank you for mentioning both of you, who are both, mandated reporters of violations of HIPAA laws, okay, which would be Rev G as well, since he is a social worker. So you, as his friend, are adding him to this entire situation, okay? Now, we just went over those two things. We're going to go ahead and look at whether or not a therapist is required to actually report such a breach. And that is the case. Yes. A therapist must report breaches of protected health information under the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act or HIPAA. A breach is defined as the acquisition, use, access, or disclosure of PHI that violates the HIPAA privacy rule and compromises the security of the privacy of PHI. This includes PHI that has not been secured and poses a significant risk of harm to the patient, okay? Now, what must you do if you determine that there has been such a breach, Anti and Rev G? You must notify a patient affected of a breach without unreasonable delay and within 60 days after discovery. A breach is discovered on the first day that you know or reasonably should have known of the breach, okay? So, did you or did you not actually file this with HHS once you became aware, Anti and Rev G, of this such violation? Because if you didn't, you're actually in hot water. And we're actually going to talk about this now, okay? Now, let's go ahead and let's take a look at filing a HIPAA complaint, okay? Now, the question is whether or not this is something that can be done. And this is for California, okay? Since we know that Anti is a therapist in California, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at this right here, because this is actually from hhs.gov, filing a HIPAA complaint. All right, let's go ahead and pull that up. If you believe that a HIPAA covered entity or its business associate violated your or someone else's health information, privacy rights, or committed another violation of the privacy, security, or breach notification rules, you may file a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights, or OCR. OCR can investigate complaints against covered entities, which would include health plans, healthcare clearinghouses, which is where she works. She works for KEPRO, which is a healthcare clearinghouse, or healthcare providers that conduct certain transactions electronically, and their business associates. In accordance with the Office for Personnel Management and CDC's guidelines on COVID-19, HHS personnel are teleworking. OCR is committed to handling your complaint as quickly as possible. However, for faster processing, we strongly encourage, she likes the word strongly encourage, right? We strongly encourage you use the OCR online portal to file complaints rather than filing via the mail, or our personnel on site is limited, okay? And then you can look here at the complaint process, how to file a complaint online, filing a patient safety confidentiality complaint, and also what to expect, okay? Let me make sure that I'm sharing that with you guys. And I do see that I'm sharing that. So I'm going to put a link to this page in the chat. That way, anyone who wants to actually file this complaint is able to do so. Okay. Now let's go here. I'm going to take a look at this again because I want to make sure that we understand whether, okay, I looked at that already. And then we looked at this. So let me go ahead and show you guys what we can do in regards to this as well. Let's go ahead and share this tab here, okay? Now, I'm going to play this just for us and for anybody that is looking to file this complaint. You can file a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights, or OCR, if you believe a HIPAA-covered entity or its business associate has violated your health information privacy rights. This includes therapists. You can file a complaint online, by mail, by fax, or by email. And the OCR encourages, as they said in their website, strongly encourages filing online. To file a complaint, you must name the covered entity or business associated involved, describe the acts or omissions you believe violated HIPAA, which clearly we have here on her own page and in her own words, okay? And then let's go back. And then you can describe the acts or the omissions you believe violated HIPAA. You can file within 180 days of learning about the violation, okay? So let's make this clear. The person who is the therapist or the doctor or whoever, they have 60 days to file, okay? So they would have to report this within 60 days. But if any of you, whether it's your medical records or whether it's like, for instance, when Carrie Ann's placard was shown on Anti's page, so forth and so on, and once Carrie was made aware of it, Carrie had 180 days from the date that she was made aware of this, okay, to actually file a complaint with the OCR, okay, which is a true violation of HIPAA, okay? File within 180 days of learning about the violation through the OCR, and you may extend the time if you can provide good cause for that extension. You can also file a complaint anonymously by downloading and completing a complaint form, send it to the OCR without revealing your name or other identifying information. So for those who are concerned because Rev G has come around and told everybody that he is going to be taking note of addresses, names, and employers and so forth, and family members of people that are filing actual complaints against him, he can't do that because you can actually file anonymously, okay? And then you can write into the OCR anonymously. You can do that. You can also email the OCR from a temporary email address, or you can call 1-800-368-1019, okay? The OCR can investigate complaints against health plans, healthcare clearinghouses, and healthcare providers that conduct certain electronic transactions. The OCR can also conduct audits and impose civil monetary penalties or violations. Now, I'm going to take a look at one more thing. One moment. Bear with me just a moment. I want to show you guys one more thing. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's share this screen. This is where Anti works. She works for a company called Essentra Health, which is formerly known as Kepro, okay? This is this is in fact a organization that is a healthcare clearinghouse, okay? And she works for them and has been with them for at least 2 years, okay? So you are able to file these violations against them as well, considering the fact that she is currently working for this company. And she is currently, even as of today and as of yesterday, discussing the knowing of HIPAA breach and HIPAA violations. And she clearly has not done anything in regards to these violations. So if you wanted to do anything in regards to this, not only are you able to send in these notifications regarding her, but you're also able to send these notifications regarding Essential Health or Kepro, which is the company that she most definitely works for. Okay, so I just wanted to share that information with you guys so that everybody completely understands what we're dealing with here, what is going on here, and how, this is not in any way to silence anybody, but rather for us to understand what laws are, what rules are, and that she does not have the right to violate those laws or those rules because we're on YouTube and she feels like, she just wants to play mental mind games with people. Okay. So again, I strongly encourage, as the OCR encourages, for all of this information to be put out there in regards to these HIPAA violations that Anti-Afro'S Fingali, aka Andrea Stewart, there in San Diego, California, has claimed that she has been aware of for a long period of time. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more violation. I believe I still have it up here. So we know, based off of an extended period of time, that she has been well aware of what she claims are HIPAA violations, okay? We know that has been going on since at least 2023, according to this email that is from Anti-Afro herself, as well as 2020 from one that she stated in the video that we did the other day regarding her connection to the Social Security Administration. So I just wanted to make this very clear, and that we do have actual reason and the ability to go ahead and file such complaints, and you can do it anonymously. You do not have to tell them your name and information, and they do not have to let them know who sent in that information. Let me go ahead and go over the comments, and we're going to go ahead and end the show. I truly appreciate all of you for being in the building. There's a lot of you in here. Okay. Black Wolf, I appreciate you being in the building. Brixton, I appreciate you. Miss Stangs, appreciate you being in the building as well. Spotum, I appreciate you. You said the asinine, fraudulent weirdos are the only people actively trying to silence people. Exactly. You said she's dry snitching on herself and creating head movie scenarios that folks are trying to shut her up. Yeah, nobody's shutting her up. I'm actually glad that she's still talking, because it's giving us, all the fuel that we need, to not only that, to show that we're telling the truth and backing up the evidence that we've already presented, but then we're also, giving us fuel to go ahead and put in these complaints against her. And it does not have to be your medical records either. It could be anybody's. The fact that we know that she is violating these HIPAA laws, and she's telling us that she's violating these HIPAA laws, it does not have to be your records, okay? It could be anyone's records. So I wanted to make that very, very clear. You said, this is hella crazy. This woman's actually helping people. You said you wouldn't be able to tell the way she conducts herself on YouTube, right? Hi, Happy Life. I appreciate you and Steph. You said, whose info did they get? Right. She claims that it was allegedly that KKC was allegedly trying to pay Mona DeLeon for young Pharaoh's medical records, but Anti being a mandated therapist, she's being a mandated HIPAA reporter, violation of HIPAA laws, she is supposed to tell them within 60 days. She's supposed to let HHS know within 60 days of this breach. And it's clear that she hadn't done that, because she was still talking with Mona from 2020 all the way to 2023. She was still in touch with her about sending people's information around. Okay. And so it's clear that she hasn't. And then to this day, from today, as well as from yesterday, she is acknowledging her knowing about this. And so she has 60 days from yesterday to acknowledge those, and she hasn't as of yet. So, we'll see what happens, but she definitely has 60 days. And now that we are aware of it, we can actually, now that we've known, what she did, we can actually file a violation against Anti for knowing about this. And she put Rev G in there, so we can send a violation out against him as well. But really, I don't know about putting him in it. She put him in it, but she is admitting to her knowing about this. So, that's just what that is. You said Fax Brixton, she's the one trying to silence people and drive them off the internet with her goofy lies, right? You said, darn, didn't know this live was happening. Yeah, I decided after seeing that I felt like it was high time to add this to the Survivor series. You said, I have a theory. She's approaching retirement age, and I don't think she cares about her licenses anymore, hence the reckless actions. See, the problem with that is she can still be hit with thousands of dollars in fines for every violation. So let me go ahead and show you guys that, because I was taking a look at that too. So it doesn't matter if she retires or not. Hold on one second. Okay, here it is right here. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick with you guys. I'm going to remove this brand. And I'm going to share my screen. So I want this to be extremely clear to Anti what she's actually facing while she's telling everybody that, we're trying to silence her and how dare we try to do that. We're going to take a look. We're going to take a look and see exactly what's going on with this. Okay. So fines for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, violations can range from 100 to 1.5 million per year, depending on the violation, the type of violation, and other factors. So tier 1 would be deliberately obtaining or disclosing protected health information without authorization. This can result in a fine up to $50,000 and up to 1 year in jail. Tier 2 could be obtaining PHI under false pretenses. This can result in a fine up to $100,000 and up to 5 years in jail. Tier 3 would be obtaining PHI for personal gain or with malicious intent. This can result in a fine up to $250,000 and up to 10 years in jail. Okay. Organizations can also set their own sanctions policies based on HR best practices. For example, tier 1 violations might result in a verbal warning or refresher training. Tier 2 violations might result in a written or final warning. Tier 3 violations might result in termination of contract. Okay. Now let's go to the civil penalties. A minimum $100 fine if an individual was unaware that they were violating HIPAA rules, and maximum of $25,000 per year. So if they were unaware, guys, right? Like say she just said, I don't even know what's going on, right? There is still a minimum fine for this, of even being unaware. So being, oblivious to the law is still not, an excuse, okay? A minimum of $1,000 fine if an individual had reasonable cause for their actions and were not willfully neglectful, and a maximum of $100,000 per year. And then it goes on to say some other things under HIPAA examples, penalties, and 5 cases you can learn from. Okay. Let's go and look at this. It says, what happens if a therapist violates HIPAA? Therapists who violate HIPAA regulations can face significant penalties, including civil monetary penalties and criminal penalties. These range from civil to criminal penalties. The civil penalties come with fines ranging from $100,000 to $50,000 per violation, with an annual maximum of $1.5 million. Okay, so yeah, she needs to take this very seriously. This is not a joke. This is not a game. And since she wants to let us know about it all, then I think that she didn't think this through. Okay, and that's unfortunate for her, right? She wants to play these psychological warfare, YouTube games with us of "you're not going to silence me" and all these other weird YouTube games that she wants to play. But yet, what she's not understanding is that she's letting us know, us professional people, us adults, she's letting us know that she is in violation of HIPAA rules. Okay. And I let you know how to go about that and what to do in regards to that. Bear with me just a moment. Okay. So I appreciate you, CB, for being in the building. Shout out to you. You said we will get justice today. We will not let criminals get away with this. Okay. You said, whoa, I don't be paying that much attention about her. So AAS is an elderly woman. She's like 60 this year. She's about 60. She's about 5 years from retirement or so. So yeah, she's around that. You said, now TikTok man, on the other hand, if he got into trouble with his board, he's screwed. No more allowance to purchase Barbies and Hot Wheels for him. Y'all are crazy, right? You said, yeah, I'm sure she's 60. Yeah, she's about 60 years old. You said, Brixton, you mean toys for children? Child. You said, Brixton, he doesn't have a license, so he has no board oversight to worry about. Okay. You said, Miss Stangs, well. You said, spot him. Oh, really? Fair enough. Yeah. You said, whose protected health information are we talking about? Well, she's talking about multiple people. She said that Mona, she was aware of all this stuff that she received from Mona, the quote unquote social security bandit, right? And we're just becoming aware of all of this. So we're still within that 180 days of, filing this report against her over this. She also had talked about, this recent stuff about KKC she claims that she is aware of KKC allegedly requesting all this information and stuff like that. So now it's, perhaps we need to be filing a complaint against her for being aware of this stuff, right? And knowing all this stuff and then trying to tell us this stuff, in ways to tell us she won't be silenced. Like, I don't know, I'm not trying to silence you, but I'm definitely letting you know that you are in violation of your license, ma'am. You said, laughing my ass off. You said, she's lonely. Somebody get, right. You said, Stephanie, AAS admitted she knew people were trying to buy info on young Pharaoh, and she allegedly knew Mona was selling records. She also put up Carrie Ann's placard on her actual community wall, which is another violation of HIPAA laws. So, and that was done, and that's something Carrie was just made aware of just maybe 3 days ago, maybe a week ago. She was made aware of that. You said, shoot. You said, y'all caught her slipping. Hey, she keep catching herself slipping. You said, but but how does she know that, Miss Dangs? We don't know, but it's the bottom line is she's telling us about it. She's also telling us where Mona was working. She was also telling us where Mona allegedly got the information, right? So, but she was aware of it. And she had 60 days to tell them about it. But here we have 180 days now that we are being made aware of it to, to report her. And, and that's just that. And they'll do an investigation into it. And they'll also use her own words as her, against her, regarding this investigation. He says, Stephanie, not sure how she knows. All I know is she was friends with Mona the whole time. And she never complained about any of this until Mona disobeyed her orders to stay out of the sector. Exactly. Hey, therapy chairwoman, I appreciate you being in the building. You said, I think she didn't have to report anything. This ish she's saying happened never did. That's possible, but that's not the point. Why is she letting us know that somebody violated HIPAA laws and she didn't report it is what we're trying to say. I don't care whether she's lying or not. That's kind of her problem at this point. She's telling us that she has been made aware that HIPAA laws were violated and that she did nothing about it. That is what she's letting us know. So it's her problem whether she's lying or not, right? At this point, when she goes under investigation for this, that is her issue, whether she's lying. It's irrelevant to us, and it's not our job to clean up whether she's lying or not, right? But she's letting us know that she knew. So since she knew, the only one that's going to be investigated is the therapist, not Mona, not KKC, not young Pharaoh, but her. And now she will have to prove that it's not true, right? She'll have to let them know that she lied to the people about all this. But she definitely has a clear violation with showing um, showing Carrie's placard to the entire world, and Carrie's just being made aware of this just the other day. So, hey, the beautiful Bernice, appreciate you, and Deidre, I appreciate you. You said exactly working points, T Pre. Yep, thank you. You say yes, Rev can't pass the license test. You said why else would one not make right. I agree with that. Hey, KKC, appreciate you being in the building. You said she should report it. That's the point. Right. That's the point. She should have been the one that's reporting this, not telling us about it, not jumping up in our face in the sector telling us about this, right? See, the issue is not with KKC and with Mona. The issue is with the therapist who she claims is so aware of all of this, but she only had 60 days to report these violations, right? Clearly, she didn't do that, right? Since she fell out with these people well over a year ago, right? Well, she fell out with Mona maybe like 8 or 9 months ago. She fell out with KKC well over a year ago. So if she was aware of all these things, how come she never said anything? She literally had 60 days from the day she found out. So now that she will have, people, reporting her for this actual stuff that she's throwing in our faces every day, now that these things will be reported, it's up to her to tell them, whether or not this is true or not, right? I don't know. That's kind of up to her. You said, hi, KKC. You said, if she is on the right side, she would be reporting it. Exactly. She would have been reported it. You said, do we have any independent evidence that KKC? Okay, so I think, Steph, you're not understanding. I think you think that we're saying KKC did this. We're not saying that. She's saying that, right? So she is the therapist. That's what we're trying to say. She would be the one that's in violation of these laws, not KKC. It doesn't matter to us whether he did that or not, right? It would be the one in violation of these laws if this is really fact, okay? Because she was the one that had the burden of reporting this to HHS. Since that didn't happen, we are in a position now where we can report her for these violations. KKC can put in a report for these violations. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because she's claiming that all of this is what happened. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and report her for these quote unquote violations of what she claims to us actually happened. And now it would be up to them to figure out whether this is true or not, right? It would be up to them to figure out, to go through the investigation to figure out whether she actually violated these laws. And, the same thing with her job, because this is what she told them. So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure if you're missing what I'm saying or if you think we're trying to get him in trouble or something, but that's not what we're doing. I think you're missing the point, Steph. That's not what we're doing here. You said, great job again, T-Pre. Thank you. I appreciate that. You said KKC was up. You said AAS doxing me and lying that I paid for young Pharaoh's medical records is delusional and laughable at its best. Exactly. And like I said, I believe she's lying. Like, honestly, I believe she's actually lying. But if she, since she's telling us that this is what actually happened, then this would put her in the wrong. This would put her in a situation where she had the burden of telling HHS about this if this is actually a thing. Why is she telling the sector about it when she should be telling us about this? Why is she telling the sector about it when she should be telling HHS about this? And she should have been did this knowing about it within 60 days of it if this actually happened, right? So what we can do, because we don't know, right? We can go ahead and report her for these violations. KKC would never get investigated. There would never be an investigation against Mona. There would be an investigation against Anti and her license because she claims she knows these things. On top of that, we just became aware of the fact that she violated HIPAA laws with showing Carrie Ann's placard to the entire world. That is also a violation of HIPAA, okay? And because we are made aware of it, we can actually report her, and it does not have to be our records that were pulled. It does not have to be our records that were violated. So I think we're understanding now. I think maybe before I said all that, maybe you just didn't really understand, but I think you're understanding. I hope you understand now. Okay. Let me go down a little bit further. Okay, let me go down a little bit further because hold on one second. Let me go down. Okay, so maybe you don't quite understand what I'm trying to say, but go back and listen to the conversation, Steph. Or you know what? Let me do this. If you have a second, let me click the link for you. Let me put the link down for you so you can come up because I kind of want you to understand before I end this so that you really understand what we're saying. Because I don't think you're getting what we're saying here. I'm gonna go over those, but I think that I don't think everybody else seems to understand what we're saying. I don't think you're quite understanding. You said Brixton, hey Brixton, Carrie, hey Teresa. You said that's the point. It's a lie. She hasn't reported it. Exactly. I think that's what we're trying to say. You said, Steph, that's obvious. Of course, she didn't have to report it if she made it up. Right, right, right. Hey, Steph. Hey, Steph. Are we are we like misunderstanding each other here?
Hang on. I think so because I think like I I
All right,
kind of have
let
a
me help you understand what I'm trying to
well,
say before you answer.
please do, please do.
Okay. Anti has been on her community wall these past couple of days claiming that she is aware of all these breaches of notifications, right? These breaches of HIPAA violations. Her being the therapist would be the only person that would be held liable for any breach of violations in this situation. Okay.
I agree with that.
Now, hold on, I'm not done. So we can go ahead and file these reports not only against her, but also against Kepro for these alleged violations that she claims she is so aware of, and that we now have a digital footprint of her saying. Not only that, but also the HIPAA violation of placing Carrie Ann's placard, which had the full number of Carrie Ann's placard on her community wall. That is also a HIPAA violation. Okay. So we can report her, and it does not have to be our placard. It doesn't have to be it could be anybody's placard that she did this with. Okay. And we can report that information as an actual violation of HIPAA laws. And that's where the reporting comes in. Whether or not she's telling the truth or any of that regarding what happened with young Pharaoh is her problem at this point, right? That's her issue. She would have to, come up with the understanding to explain to them why she decided to tell thousands of people that she was in violation of HIPAA laws. Okay. The other part of this is that we know for a fact that she most definitely violated at least one of these, and that's when she was putting Carrie Ann's placard up. So that is definitely a violation. Are we understanding each other now?
No, I get that. I get that. And if reporting her, even though you don't think that what she actually, if this was actually a HIPAA violation because this ever happened, that's fine. Like that's fine. She should undergo the entire brunt of any investigation, just like anybody else would for saying this stuff. I'm fine.
Exactly.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. But I think my issue with the stories she tells about the medical records is a bigger one, and that's why I guess I kind of came in here swinging about how she's lying
Oh,
because
well,
I
we
think
know she's lying. Steph, I
okay,
think everybody in the sector already knows that she's lying. That's the point we're
okay,
trying to make. You understand what I'm saying? She's not going to keep playing these psychological mental games with us and telling us that all these other people and us criminals, are in violation of these laws, when in actuality, if any of that was true, she would be the only one in violation of these laws. That's what
sure,
we're trying to say. We're trying to drive the point home to her that she is the only one in violation here. Okay.
sure, yeah,
And we actually have actual violations that she has actually done that could be proven, right? That has already been proven, that can be reported, and it can be reported anonymously. We don't have to say our name. We don't have to tell them, but we can put in these reports. And I showed how to do it.
sure, sure. I mean,
Okay.
as if like I just think it's the one about young Pharaoh is such an obvious lie that I don't know. I mean, I just think that sure she had a duty to report if it's true, but I think it's so obviously a lie that I just you know I don't
No,
know.
no, but yeah, that's cute and everything that we know it's a lie. We do know it's a lie.
Well,
right?
I don't know it's a lie.
And you're right, we don't.
Yeah,
Right?
I
We
don't
all
know
know
why
it's
you
a
keep
lie.
the
saying
reason
that,
is
because
it's just
there's no
completely
evidence of that.
So
I
this
just
is the
want to
thing,
know.
Carrie. If you let me explain, since you're asserting that, this is the thing. Unless young Pharaoh spent time in New York City, which I don't know if he did or he didn't, but the thing is,
He
if
has,
he's
yeah, he has.
okay, that is the only part that Mona would have access to. Yeah, the medical records
No,
are
and
not.
I don't know that he didn't spend
That's
time
not
in New
even true
York.
either.
So as a
I
lawyer,
can
I don't
say,
know why you keep saying that you know it's a lie when you don't know that he hasn't spent time in New York. And I'm having a hard time understanding why you said several things in the chat that you know are not true.
well, hold on. Let me say one thing too. I want to say this. If anybody's ever worked with like an insurance company or like Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE or something like that, you don't have to live in that state to have access to those things. That could be, that you can access. Just give you an example. Like, say I worked for TRICARE, right, which is it's the insurance for our military, right? I can have TRICARE in Delaware, right? And still be able to access TRICARE in Louisiana, still be able to access TRICARE in Ohio. Like, I don't have to be in that state to do that. The same thing with the Medicare and Medicaid system. It's the same thing, right? Like, I can be in the state of New York and be able to access somebody's Medicaid or Medicare in the state of Texas, or in the depending on what company I'm with or whatever. And we don't really know.
Wasn't it a New York system of some kind?
What'd you say?
Who did Mona work for? Wasn't it a New York-based system of some kind?
How would I know that? I don't know that.
We don't know that.
We don't know that.
It was the New York
Hospital
with right?
May I add, those are red herrings. Thank you for having me. Those are red herrings. Let's just, I love this. Just focusing on the fact that you bested her. I'm good with that. I don't care.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter, right? Like
back pocket. Yeah, I don't want to talk about nobody else. Let's stay on her head.
Yeah, because honestly, I'm gonna say this. I think I hear what Steph is saying, right? But I want her to have an understanding like we do, right?
Well, I don't know if you know everything that Stephanie claimed in that chat, because she said some really weird shit. And I'm just trying to understand like what's really going on, because number one, you don't know that she didn't have access to his records. I don't know why you keep saying that.
We really don't.
Right, you don't. So that's one. Number two, there is evidence that this happened. Her public claims are evidence. What you don't have evidence for is that it's a lie. But you keep asserting that you know that. And for you to say that, you have to have, you did say we can't file a claim. And when I called you on it, you said you hadn't said that. Like,
no,
number
one, I hadn't said that. I said I wanted to clarify that I later said that y'all can file claims. I don't know that I would file one over this specifically, because I myself am not convinced that Mona would have had access, at least not to all of young Pharaoh's records. If he went to some kind of medical treatment in a place that the system she worked for, if it was in a treatment in that system, maybe she would have had access to that. But as far as having it, like at a push of the button, having access to any and all of his medical records, I don't.
Now you're adding straw man. Nobody said at the push of a button she had all of his medical records. Now you're adding in a straw man. Hold up, T-Pre. Can I go? Can I just go? Because the thing is, what really bothers me is when I point out that you don't have any evidence for what you're saying. T-Pre does have evidence for what she wants to report. You don't have evidence. And when I pointed that out to you, you said that your evidence and training, your experience and training is evidence. So I'm just trying to figure out, do you think we're stupid? Why would you say that that's evidence? We all know that's not evidence. So why are you talking to me like that?
No, training and experience in a courtroom can be evidence that of a claim that I just don't find this credible, because I don't think that like medical records are that easily accessible. They tend to be
hold on. Your training and evidence will make your training and experience would make your statements evidence, or your training and experience is evidence? Because I don't know if you think, I'm just trying to figure out how much you respect me with the things coming out of your mouth right now. Because I feel a way about you telling me that your training and experience is evidence.
I think I just worded that wrong. That's not what I meant. It is what I meant, but I think it's going to a level that I didn't mean for it to. So I would just say that, like, I don't find this credible because that Mona was able to access young Pharaoh's records because of my experience with having to access medical records for my clients, etc. They tend to be very split apart among treatment providers. They're not easily accessed across the board, even in a system. And I just don't, it would depend. I would need to know more. It would depend on what she was trying to access, if she could actually access that, and the story behind this.
Okay, now sure. Let me talk then. I'm going to tell you something very, very different, okay? If somebody works for a company such as what Anti claimed she was working for, okay? I just gave you one example. I gave you 3 examples. I gave you TRICARE, I gave you Medicare, and I gave you Medicaid, okay? Those particular programs are federal programs, okay, that are run through state systems, okay? I can go and work for a company in Pennsylvania, right? I'll just give you Blue Cross Blue Shield, for instance, right? I could be working for Blue Cross Blue Shield doing claims with them, okay? And I might need to access someone's medical records for whatever the reason might be, okay? If I have access to the PA state system, okay, to look up information through the Medicaid system, through the Medicare system, or through TRICARE, right? I would be able to also access that in other states. I would. Whether you want to believe that or not, it is a thing.
Okay. Fair enough. From what I understand,
I'm not arguing about it, and I'm not undermining what you're saying, but I need you to hear me too. Okay.
All
right. Okay. So, to just say that she wouldn't be able to access it unless he was right there in New York, that's not true. That's not true at all. Just because he doesn't live right there doesn't mean that. I'll give you an example, right? She claimed that Don's medical records were pulled. Don was living in Delaware at the time. You understand what I'm trying to say? So sure. How would you get Don's medical records if he's in Delaware and you're in New York, unless these things are kind of accessible across the board, depending on how much, depending on how much you're able to get into those systems, like depending on what clearance you have, right? You might have clearance to be able to get into those systems within other states. It's not just the state you're living in. It is not. I can guarantee that. I can put a money on that. And I'll have a conversation with you after to tell you how much I know that. Okay. I don't want to talk about that publicly, but I'm letting you know that is definitely a thing. Okay. You do not have to be in that state in order for you to violate, in order for you to come up with somebody's medical history from another state. You do not have to be living in the same state. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, to put all these things to it, of what may or may not have happened, is kind of her issue to decide with her company, right? Or to decide with HHS. The bottom line is she is the one telling us, throwing in our faces these violations and telling us that these are violations that she committed. Okay? So it is up to her and the burden of proof is on her. It's not on you. It's not on me. You're not her attorney. I'm not her attorney. It is up to her to prove to them that these were lies. Okay? But she's the one that told us about it. And we also know that there's a particular thing that she did violate, which was putting Carrie's placard up. Okay? Which she had 60 days to tell them, oops, by the way, I mistakenly put this up. And even with her telling them she mistakenly put this out there, that still doesn't, still doesn't, remove her from being able, from answering to this and actually facing fines and so forth. Like not knowing the law is not enough. So I think that's where everybody's kind of confused about the communication here, right? Because it doesn't matter whether it was a lie or not. I think you came in because you wanted to protect Mona and protect KKC, as we all do, right? We all do. We all think she's lying, right? But We don't know. Well, I can't say we all, because I maybe some people really don't think she's lying, right? But the bottom line is she would be the one that's in violation, not anybody else. So, you know, even
well, I don't know that was necessarily my primary point. I think my real problem with her saying that all these medical records were pulled is that I guess it really does kind of go back to the whole thing where she accused Glorion of doing that. I think that really is my issue, honestly, if I have to say, like, because I don't think Glorion in her position had access to anything like what they're accusing her of having access to. And so, that's not something typical of police anywhere that I've heard of, and so I just, and so I think like she has a fear tactic of basically saying like, first, your shit is accessible. And so she's kind of implying that she could get it, right? And I don't know if she can or she can't, but I think that's a seed she wants to plant. And two, that like anybody anywhere that's a public servant, quote unquote, can somehow hack into the big CSI computer full of medical records and pull your shit. She said
Brown. I don't care what she's trying to insinuate as far as that. Like, I think that's overthinking it, right? Who cares about that? You know what I'm saying? The bottom line is, you are throwing in our face and playing these psychological games with the sector, saying that this is what happened, okay? And I'm throwing back at her, well, since that's what happened and you're claiming this is truth, then guess what, ma'am? You are in violation of HIPAA laws.
Because she didn't report it.
And you could be reported as a mandated reporter, and you could be facing prison, and you could be facing fines. And we have full proof that you have in fact violated HIPAA laws in regards to Carrie Ann. And so these things can be reported. So it doesn't matter what this other stuff is. This is kind of like fluff.
No, you're right. To the point that you're making, no, it's not. It's irrelevant discussion. Granted.
That's all I'm saying. Like, and I wanted us to be on the same page about that, because I don't think you meant any harm, but I think you weren't. I think you didn't see what we were seeing, because we see what you're seeing. You're a lawyer.
No, I want to say this. I have a problem with what Stephanie was saying in the chat. And, I've always liked Stephanie. I don't want to believe Stephanie is like a malicious player or anything. But I think that if what Stephanie meant was, I don't think this is credible, she could have said that. And by maybe I'm expecting too much, but I don't expect to have to tell a lawyer that she's saying that she knows something is a lie when she doesn't know that. Because again, she doesn't know as much about medical records as you do. So she's wrong about the medical record thing. And you don't know that young Farrell hasn't spent time in New York. So for you to keep adamantly insisting in the chat that you know it's a lie, it just makes me feel like a little more comfortable with taking the things you're saying is fact. If I'm muddying the waters, no, Stephanie muddied the waters, because then Stephanie moved on to saying we can't file a complaint if we don't have evidence. And again, that is not true. So this is two things you said that are not true.
We can. And they strongly encourage
Let me finish. I waited. I got a couple of points to get off, because I just want to say it and be done with it. I don't want to keep going back and forth. Thank you. So then you said you can't make a report without evidence, which that's also not true. You could make a report. If what you want to say is, I don't think this rises to the level of something I will report, like, I expect you to be more responsible with language, and people look to you as somebody that can say truth. So then you're up here telling people they can't file a report. Then I pointed out to you and you denying that you said that. Then what else did you say? Then you're lying about what evidence is. And so I've never seen you behave this way, Stephanie. I don't know what's going on, but like, you kind of said a lot of things in a row that weren't accurate. And this is an important topic. And if all you worried about is that people are going to file a complaint that's not going to go anywhere, nobody's breaking the law. I really don't understand why you got so in your bag that you're claiming to have evidence for things that you don't have evidence for. You know what I mean? Or denying that there's evidence when there is. Like, I'm just a little confused with your performance in the chat tonight.
I think she misunderstood. And I can't speak for you, but I do think she was misunderstanding what I was trying to say. I get like where Steph is coming from. I think she's.
You do? Because I don't.
Let me finish.
Okay.
So I think what she was trying to say is, guys, don't lie on a report against her, right? And
it
that's
wasn't
not
so much that. I guess
okay.
I was just sort of. I was sloppy. I was sloppy. That I admit that I was sloppy. I guess what I meant was if she didn't actually know this happened, then she doesn't actually have a duty to report something that she made up, right? I guess that was kind of my thing. And so report her all day, but she may never actually. But in the end of the day, like if they find out she's making up shit, then that might actually be like something of consequence to her, even if she did make this up.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that, Stephanie.
Exactly.
Let the process happen. If she is the good reporting officer of whatever credentials she holds, just like you hold credentials, I hold credentials. If I did something false, I have to report Deirdre. You see, I think that's what T. Pre was saying as well. Deirdre should be the first one in line to report
this. Exactly. And since Deirdre isn't, then we have 180 days from the time that we find out about this alleged violation to report Deirdre for not reporting it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So ultimately, this is her issue. This isn't our problem. This is her problem. It's the burden of proof is on her to prove, that she never violated anything. That's number one, right? And then on top of that, we know for a fact that she violated HIPAA when she showed Carrie Ann's placard. So it's even outside of this whole thing with Mona and the KKC and young Pharaoh is irrelevant. We know we don't have evidence of that. All we have is what Anti said, right?
And those are red herrings. Yeah,
right. Which I believe too. Herrings. But unfortunately for Anti, we do have her showing Carrie Ann's placard, which is also a clear violation of HIPAA. You understand what I'm trying to say?
I didn't even know that. I mean, I definitely want to file a report on her for the ethical violation of publicly encouraging people to question my disability and disparaging me as a disabled person, suggesting I'm doing something wrong. I think that was really I was more concerned with the ethics of it. But I didn't know that was a HIPAA violation until you pointed it out.
That's a HIPAA violation, and that she can face criminal and civil penalties over. So yes, this is her problem.
Well, then I'll make a complaint about that too. I'm more concerned with the ethics of her ableist encouraging people, because that's something people deal with, is people seeing us with a parking placard, and because we're not in a wheelchair, they think they could walk up to us asking questions and bothering us. And for her to be encouraging that type of behavior, I'm a disabled veteran. Like, that's what's actually going on. And I'm concerned with her. The message that she's spreading about the victims of childhood abuse and disabled people.
I think we would get her a lot easier with the HIPAA violations. Like the other things I think we can do too, right? But the HIPAA violations are right in our face. This is right now. This is, you did this. Here's the evidence. This is what we got. We strongly encourage you to put this online, and that's it. Here, I want to put this person.
May I address that? No. May I address that?
Go ahead, but I actually deleted it now because they feel like we're bored.
But I
don't know why they're here. Like,
how bored are you to watch? Like, what does that
mean? Clearly, you ain't got much of a life.
May I please address that?
Yes, go ahead.
Not only am I a U.S. veteran, Navy, and Air Force. I am also a licensed person in the state of California. I was a social worker / child support officer. May I keep going, ladies and gentlemen?
Absolutely.
I also own my business. I've been a content creator for 5 years. We are in the middle of the merge. I do believe Steph and my good godson and AT2 are good buddies.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I also came over here organically. I love involving myself. I love knowing that my haters and my super fans watch me, and I love that T. Pre is winning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I appreciate you, Deidre. You have really been a gem over here, and I truly appreciate you, and some others that are even outside of our sector that have been, very supportive of things regarding our sector and attempting to help us and so forth and so on. I really, really, really appreciate all of you and all of the support that you guys are bringing. So Shout out to all of y'all. Shout out to all of y'all.
Yeah, thanks for having me up. I did just want to make it clear, people don't need evidence to file a report. When they hear somebody say that they've committed a crime, anybody can file a report based off of that. And you don't need evidence to file any kind of report. Maybe if you're actually a police officer or something, but citizens, all you need is a reasonable suspicion, and it's not your job to investigate anything. The state pays people to do that, and that's their job. Okay? On that, I'm going to hop down.
All right, I appreciate you coming up, Carrie. Shout out to you. And yeah, I believe that too. You know, it is not our job to decide whether or not, you know, this is credible or isn't credible. That's up to them to figure that out. You know what I mean? But she's throwing these violations in our face and playing these mind games. And I'm not playing mind games with her. I'm going to let her know I can report you, right? I can actually report you, and I actually have good reason to. And all the people that she claims that, you know, she, you know, has all these violations against, you know, where is it? You know what I mean? But she's showing us, you know, that she's in violation. You know, not only with the whole thing that she was saying in regards to that, which could also bring up ethics issues, right? But then the other part about her actually showing, you know, the placard. So, you know, that's definitely a thing. Any final thoughts? Because I really didn't want to be on here this long. I've been on too long.
No, we're good.
Okay. I appreciate you, Steph. And I don't want you to feel any kind of way. I don't feel any kind of way or anything. I wasn't sure what was going on there with that. So, but shout out to you.
Okay.
I'm going to have to block this person too, because child, we don't play these games in my chat. I don't do that kind of stuff. Okay. You don't have to be here. All right. But the people that, you know, I fool with them. And that's just that. All right. So, I appreciate you guys for coming out today. Make sure y'all do hit the like button on the way out. And I'm glad that we were able to get to the bottom of that and at least understand what these rules are, what we can do about this, and that, you know, in no way, shape, or form or fashion, I don't think anybody really wants, or most of us don't want to believe that this is true. But we need to let Anti know that if this is true, then she would be the only one and the sole one in violation of HIPAA laws here. And that she had 60 days to report this to HHS. And if she did not, then now unfortunately, her actual licenses are in question because of these things. Not only that, but the fact that she was showing Carrie Ann's placard publicly, put that on her community wall. We have made a point of showing that and documenting that information. And now that we have documented that, these are also a violation of HIPAA rules, and that can be put out. And anybody can anonymously put that complaint in against her, or you can tell them your name. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. And I just showed you guys how to do that. Truly appreciate everybody for being in the building. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button on the way out. And guys, I will talk to y'all later. I appreciate you guys. And peace, guys. I will see you guys on Thursday.